As someone who surrounds himself with horror games, I have been able to experience the best ones out there, and the not so great ones. But with playing so many horror games, there's one genre that really sticks out, the mascot genre. Games like Five Nights at Freddy's, Bendy and the Ink Machine, and even Garden of Banban got extremely popular, mostly because of all the 8-year-olds playing them, but hey, what were you doing when you were 8 years old? I personally was playing Kid Pix and cool math games. Taking a step back to 2014, when mascot horror for the most part was created, with games like Five Nights at Freddy's and, well, mostly the FNAF clones, there was a game called Spooky's House of Jumpscares, later known as Spooky's Jumpscare Mansion, due to a legal case. Nothing scarier than a lawsuit on your hands. When I first saw the game, I was addicted to it. Everything from the monsters to the levels and even spooky. This game was perfect. Fast forward to 2017, the game got upgraded to the HD renovation version, with everything being rebuilt from the ground up, adding several art updates and making the game so much scarier, with some of the most creepy and unique monsters I've ever seen. The game opens up by telling you about an almost ancient mansion atop a hill. Not even the oldest residents of the town know anything about it. And you guessed it, the guy we play as decided to find out the secrets about this place. You enter the building and are greeted by a small ghost girl, saying her name is Spooky and even giving you the objective, make it through 1,000 rooms, and then levitates into the ceiling. So now we know the main objective, make it to the end without dying. To get to the end, you have to go from room to room, in most cases just walking straight. Find a door that isn't broken or locked and open it. Going ahead, you find yourself the first specimen, a cardboard cutout. Yep, it's a cardboard cutout that swings at you with a loud sound, hence the name Jumpscare Mansion. The cardboard cutout can't hurt you, it just pops out in random rooms. Strangely enough, I love these little guys. Not only are they cute, for the most part, they completely divert the player's expectation, making you wonder if this really is a horror game. But trust me, it is. In some cases, you find a room with a computer in it. Using the computer, you'll be able to read a small amount about each specimen in the mansion, named CatDOS. Using CatDOS to read up on the cardboard cutout, you notice that the only method of killing is through heart attacks, and somehow has killed 4 people. I don't doubt that. Once you meet an enemy, they can come back at any point and chase you again, and the cardboard is no different. Even while another monster is chasing you down, the cardboard cutout will still be there to say hello, forcing you to stop for a second and making you walk around it, as to not get hit by the thing chasing you. In the end, Specimen 1, 4 out of 10. A cute way to introduce the player to the game while also having a jab at conventional jump scares used in horror media. Heading through the mansion, you can find notes left behind by a previous thirsty explorer who has gotten lost. He's left a trail of notes behind to prove to himself that he hasn't been walking around in circles, stating he is leaving notes as breadcrumbs. Finding more notes, you find this person slowly getting more anxious and thirsty, getting to the point where he in fact drinks a bottle of what he believes to be wine, but instead turns out to be some yummy red body fluid, and then becomes more desperate and eventually drinks the ink he's been using to write said notes. Continuing on to floor 60, you find what seems to be a puddle of green goop that, when walking over it, it makes you slower. But reading the note, something seems off. It doesn't make any sense, almost as if the creature is behind us trying to confuse us. This is Specimen 2, otherwise known as Glob, or Goop, or if you ask me, lubglub, because his design has taken inspiration from the Adventure Time creature lubglubs, from the episode Utopia, where Finn and Jake take the role of heroes again, helping the fish people be free from the lubglubs.
Fish people! I'll be, a dolphin!
Anyways, where was I? Specimen 2 is a good enemy to face at the start. Not too hard to run away from, but still being a threat where you don't want to stick around for long. The monsters will normally chase you from anywhere between 10 to 30 rooms, unless you get to a checkpoint room. When he chases you, he's not the biggest threat. His claw attacks is easy to dodge just by stepping backwards, and he himself isn't very fast, but if he does corner you and kills you, this screen will play, showing it with eyes and another mouth, with some text from the specimen itself. In my opinion, this means that it has infected us, somehow learned everything about us, and will perhaps control us now. I'm not entirely sure though. Overall, I would rate this lubglub a 5 out of 10. A good intro into what's to come without making it overly hard to escape. And it reminded me of Adventure Time, 100% not biased. After exploring the building more, you'll be able to encounter secret rooms, or special rooms. These include an almost Simon Says type room, a room that shows the layout of the mansion, showing the player that the rooms are always moving, making it impossible to plan a proper route, and a room with a brain in a test tube. Later on, you'll be able to pick up an axe, and if you use it on said brain, it will hover towards you, killing you instantly. One of the strongest enemies in the game. But to not die to it, you can just leave him alone, taking the do not touch the glass to another level. The Simon Says room is easy to go through. You just need to make sure you walk through the correct passage, but by getting one wrong, you have to do it all over again. You only need to do this 4 times. Not very hard, just a bit annoying when you somehow manage to get every single direction wrong. And if you're anything like me, that will happen. You can also find a room with a FNAF fan on a desk, and even the game's creator playing as the phone guy, just saying hello constantly. I thought this was really cute because not only was the original version of the game released the same year as Five Nights at Freddy's, but they also implemented this room in the updated version of the game. Being chased again by the lubglub, you are brought to room 100. Every 100 floors, you are greeted by an elevator, otherwise known as a safe room. Nothing can kill you in here, and you can even save the game, so you don't need to start over again. Well, unless you want the speedrun strats achievement, where you have to go through the whole game without saving once, but who's dumb enough to do that? Never mind. As you enter the next specimen room, you notice that it's more like a containment facility, having heads of dinosaurs and random meat chunks in incubation tanks. Finding a note left behind by a generic lab assistant, you learn that Subject 5 is growing more restless and needs help from Spooky. This is Specimen 3, known as the Crawler or Spider. This creature will either come down from tunnels on the ceiling or just break down the door you just came from. The Crawler is a bigger threat than old Lubby, but not by much. The theme for the Crawler isn't bad, but it still has some to be desired. While being chased, you can hit it with the axe, forcing it to run away, giving you some more breathing room. Personally, I would rate the Spider 4 out of 10, being a bigger threat than Goop, but not really changing the gameplay all that much. Kinda giving off basic bitch energy. Until you get killed by the spider creature and witness the death scene. One thing I want to know is why does this little guy have a perfect death scene? Seeing more than just one of these things really shows this creature is trying to make the mansion its hive, making you feel even more unsafe on your adventure onwards, turning it from a 4 out of 10 to a 5 out of 10. Continuing onwards, you are met with an abandoned school. Even holding a flashlight, minimizing your vision to just the center of your screen. Being sent from normal halls to this can really catch you off guard. You are able to walk around and find notes about a student that was late for class and went missing. The ghostly shadows behind the desk will hurt you if you get too close, and worst of all, a Hatsune Miku drawing on the wall. How scary. Walking down another hall, you are met with a pale-skinned ghoul chasing you down, wanting to eat you. This is Specimen 4, otherwise known as Ringu. Her design is basic but still has complementing features, like having static TV lines, making a reference to the Ring movies. Even being able to talk to the player, saying lines like "come here" and "stop." Even having music that sounds similar to an alarm playing. Again on the notes left behind saying Ringu eats people late for class. The song is even being called "Breakfast Was Too Late." When you play the endless version of this game, you'll be able to encounter Ringu again, but when you do, she'll be able to take on different forms, being more nightmarish than before, having more arms and causing a static to close in on you, so you become blinded for a second or two. The death scene isn't great, if I'm being honest, having her eat the player saying "hush now child, you're safe." I don't really find this scary, more just worried that people with vor and mummy kinks would beat off to this. In the end, Ringu is an excellent specimen, having an ability to hover over drops and go through the walls, causing you to panic more as the player. I would rate Ringu a 6 out of 10. Passing room 200, you'll be able to meet the next specimen with an almost Silent Hill based design. This is personally my favorite specimen. With cell-like rooms being rusted and moldy, it's just an unwelcoming experience all around. The notes in the rooms tell you about a cult worthing their mother, but then having everything fall apart once they sacrificed a girl believed to be pure, but in the end was not. Furthering onwards, you find a wall of flesh, a man trapped behind bars seemed to be mummified, and as you all guessed, the womb room. Specimen 5 can be found behind a set of opening bars ready to chase you down. I didn't really know what to call this thing, so the nickname I've given her is the mannequin. The mannequin is clearly based off the Silent Hill with a large dagger from Pyramid Head and a beautiful body from the nurses. Her music is perfect, giving off a mechanical yet somehow organic feel, fitting the area you found her in perfectly. While chasing you, your eyes start to play tricks on you, having the walls move and show some horrid faces on them, almost making you, the player, feel like you're going insane, making you hallucinate, making you see the silhouettes of the mannequin in the rooms and having them follow the specimen itself, making you feel like you're witnessing something impossible, forcing your brain to comprehend what you're looking at. Having the mannequin kill you, you are shown this. A strangely perfect death scene for this creature. This is one of my favorite specimens, 9 out of 10, chef's kiss. In room 250, you are met with Spooky again, who congratulates you and presents you with a gift.
I shall grant you a gift.
Yay!
Progress.
Yay!
So just keep going.
Gift, 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 gift. Oh my god! Very cute. Passing along, you are met with an almost tomb-like structure, with fire pillars, metal tools, and notes. The notes tell you of a story about a strange man that came to town one day, selling puppets and trinkets to the children, making the other merchants of the town furious, making them lose money as he was now the focus of attention. So they ended up throwing all the man's puppets into the river. The man wailed as his children were drowning, so he dove into the river trying to save them. The townspeople, still mad at the man, stood there and watched his struggles. Then the man thrashed around in the water, only to never re-emerge again. Years later, the children of the town started to go missing. Puppets resembling the lost children started appearing in the forest and around the river. This is Specimen 6, known as the Merchant. He is an unforgiving entity holding a massive needle ready to strike at you when you're not looking, and strings attached, hence the name the puppet. Much like the Weeping Angels or a more recent monster, the Coilhead, the puppet can only move when you're not looking or get too far away from it, with obvious intent to kill you. You find yourself hitting your back against the walls as to not get hit by the specimen. He doesn't even talk to you, he only laughs when he gets to move around, with an unforgiving smile and an even more unforgiving death scene. A very memorable scene, making the player go blind as the first step of the puppetification process. Another perfect specimen in my opinion, 7 out of 10. You are stopped and met with what appears to be the threshold of consciousness. Crossing the line and passing through the wall of your mind, you are met with a cat. Finally, finding something that isn't trying to kill you. In fact, this cat is warning us and almost guides us into improving ourselves, saying this place can help those that are ready, but to expect turmoil more than you are used to. Even showing you a physical representation of your moral compass, saying you can choose how to approach life and what is handed to you. I believe this cat is a representation of therapy and can help one's mind heal from trauma, in which leads us to the specimen of this part. Specimen 7, otherwise known as the wall. It is constantly changing forms based on the subject's personality, but most commonly resembles a wall of moving anatomy symbols. Only effective on subjects with a past trauma or history with psychological issues. Basically, the average it is what it is person. I believe the cat is trying to warn us, the player, and heal any past traumas, or at least tell us there are options in life. Although, unfortunately, the wall, or Specimen 7, is exactly what it sounds like. A wall. Running through maze-like rooms with changing PNGs on the walls, with a border of flesh slowly closing in on you. Basically the storm in Fortnite. In my opinion, this is the worst enemy in the game. It doesn't even have a death scene, and the rooms are pretty straightforward. It's not like you're gonna get lost while running through them. And another thing I wanted to note is this is the only entity in the game that can't re-chase you once you've encountered it. Entering the first stage of the area showed something new, which I really liked. Having a character we can talk to gave me some feeling of discomfort and not wanting to trust the cat, as I originally thought it was what was going to turn into the monster. But having it guide me and help us towards the actual dangerous areas was a nice way to keep the player invested. However, the specimen that we had to deal with was just an overall letdown, placing it as a 1 out of 10. It doesn't even have a death scene, which made it just feel unimportant, but the cat gets a 10 out of 10. Cry of fear reference! Cry of fear reference! Going past floor 500, you are brought back to the lubglub's room, back on room 50. An inkling of trolling, or tomfoolery if you will, tricking the player into thinking they had basically restarted their run. You pick up the note and a secret door appears, letting you go through an express tunnel to the next specimen. You appear to be outside now, with a thick fog unwelcoming you, even having a log cabin in this lost forest theme. Following along the path, you are acquainted by a deer, but they're not like any other. They, in fact, are trying to harm the player. Forcing your way through to get inside the safety of the cabin, there's a note on the ground. You learn that the animals outside must not be deer, as someone tried to hunt one for food but almost got turned into food themselves. Room 554. You are met with the axe. You can use it to kill the deer and to tear away any specimen. Well, some of them. Furthering on, you are met with the Deer Lord, Specimen 8. The design of the specimen goes hard, one of the favorites for sure, with long antlers and a cloak that opens up to reveal the souls lost to the Deer Lord, even taunting you when you run away from it. Having a static effect over your eyes while being chased, you know you're the prey in this food chain. Being slower than the player, you are able to outrun the Deer Lord until a wall gets between the two of you, where he will enter his own realm just to get closer to you, activating no clip in other words. Forcing you to play slow and cautious, the death scene from the Deer Lord is something we haven't seen before. You are brought to the Deer Lord's realm, and before you lies a path, along with hostile looking trees, straight from the movie Monster House. At the end lies the Deer Lord, waiting for you to join the lost souls. 9 out of 10. The next specimen you encounter is Specimen 10, as Specimen 9 is something I'll have to talk about later. Specimen 10, in all honesty, is my most hated specimen. It has a nice intro with a sci-fi-like environment, forcing you to even crawl through vents to continue onwards, leaving the vent to only have a monster head slowly chasing you, then dying to the real specimen, known as the Thing, or Alien. This parasite will infect a host, turning it into its real form, with a large mouth ready to eat anything that gets close. A perfect reminder from the movie The Thing, but also ready to run down its prey if it gets too far away by turning back into the parasitic worm. This is the fastest specimen in the game, even faster than you running, so it's something you have to keep in mind while you are slowly walking along with this thing. The main reason I don't like this guy is I can't hold down the W key while running as fast as I can. I also just wanted to say that the monster head that the parasite comes out from in its intro is the original Specimen 10. You can even see it for a few seconds while still in the vent. A nice way to introduce the new enemy while giving an homage to the old one. In the end, not a bad enemy, 6 out of 10, just because it forces you to change your normal playstyle instead of holding down W the whole time. Next up, we're getting takeaway, boys. Taste the beef. This is probably my favorite area design just because how creepy yet normal it feels. It's almost like going into Macca's at 2 a.m. on a Wednesday. The notes in this area tell a story about a worker that just started working here, and they slowly notice strange happenings surrounding the customers and the staff. People will order the food only to come back 10 minutes later to get more. The worker even says they wouldn't eat any of the food there until eventually caving in and eating a burger. After which he begins hearing disturbing things in his dreams. Then a horrible accident occurred. The manager attacked an employee for saying the burgers smelled like sulfur. The manager grabbed the kid's neck and shoved his head into the grill. I mean, hey, I'd do the same thing if someone disrespected the quarter pounder from Macca's. Once you grab the final key for the area, the specimen will appear. Specimen 11, or the Demon King, or Beef Daddy if you want to spice things up a little bit. It will float after you with a menacing theme. They have the same ability as Ringu, being able to float through walls, plus make doors disappear. You can still use the doors, you just can't see them. Once caught by this demonic fiend, you are brought to its realm. Similar to the Deer Lord, just not quite as good. Having the demon kill you, this will appear. With every bite with bone and skin, the temple groaned and shook again. His dwelling place did I neglect. To the end, with bad effect. Meaning the people were so focused on eating the burgers, they didn't even pay attention to the building crashing down on them, losing their souls to the meat demon. At least that's what I got from it. I honestly have no clue though. But with 317 fatalities, this is the most dangerous thing we've come across so far. Even stating it's too dangerous to contain and that it can leave at will, although it's deemed not effective as the victim's souls do not remain after contact. 7 out of 10. Very scary. Just not impactful enough to get a higher rating. At this point, I got up to room 750 and found our good friend Spooky again, and she even granted me with unlimited stamina. The only problem is I can no longer run. I can't run. Okay, that's better. Yeah, it's only for a couple floors. It's a nice way to prank the player without actually doing any harm, as the specimens can't chase you during the sequence. Spooky's just a little jokester, huh? Room 800. You are welcome to an old mansion, being able to see the specimen immediately, as the specimen is the mansion itself. Specimen 12, or the mansion, or the host in this case, is a somewhat normal looking man holding a massive scythe. All you weapon heads out there, be sure to leave what it's actually called in the comments below. The mansion will make you experience paranoia and make you more hostile once entering. If you go down into the cellar of the mansion, you'll be able to see what the mansion really looks like without the fake walls, being made of dirt with steel doors and a thick fog of dirt. The notes around this place tell us a story of a man slowly coming to the effects of the mansion, taking great inspiration from the Shining, or the Shin-ing, if you will.
Scaredy cat.
Yeah.
Once putting down the notes in the room, a man will enter with the intent to kill you, but he only comes in once you've finished reading the note. How polite. After hiding from the man a couple times, he'll eventually find you and chase you down in the basement. If you get caught by him, it's basically just a Saul Goodman jump scare. 6 out of 10. Now we are brought to the final specimen of the game, other than the boss of the game, but you'll just have to keep waiting for him. The last area is an almost underwater lab site, abandoned and ruined, but they do have a big fishy boy here, so at least we're not too lonely. The notes tell us about a whale being eaten from the inside from a humanoid creature. You can grab a lantern reminding you this place was inspired by Amnesia, another horror game OG.
The barrels.
Reading more notes, you learn that one of the scientists hears a voice from a girl, or an animal, or something pleading that he leaves his locked room and goes into the water. The final note is, as you guessed, found in the water. You are surrounded by said water. This would have to be a 10 out of 10 just by how it changes the game, as there are floating crates to stand on to not get attacked. All the staff are gone. Only I remain, resisting the call from behind the sealed door, but I will remain as long as I can. Don't Open that door. So we open the door. Specimen 13, the siren. A mermaid beast that will splash in the water, damaging you if you aren't standing on the crate. Yeah, the hot babe you saw wasn't a hot babe, but instead a British person ready to shank you. What this specimen lacks in design is made up with the environment, forcing you to play by their rules. Almost as if the siren is messing with you as you go from box to box. The death scene is nothing special, just another PNG that changes. The specimen itself to me wasn't what made this area scary, but it was the environment. 8 out of 10. Entering room 1000, you find a chained up door. Using the axe you acquired earlier, you pass through. You are finally free until their screensaver crashes. Spooky isn't pleased with the outcome, surprised that we even made it this far, and forces you to pass one final test to prove you're worthy.
So now you must pass one final test to prove your fortitude or dedication or something.
I'm taking all those logs they keep throwing out, and I'm nailing them together.
This is Specimen 9, known as the Taker. The Taker is a survivor from the experiments conducted at Unit 731. For context, a lot of bad things happen here, but it's fine because place Japan. Basically, they would test the prisoners and victims on what their body could handle, trying to learn as much as possible about the human body, except not really. They just kind of tortured people of all ages for the sake of being a psycho. But at least we learnt the human body is 70% water. We know that from them steaming living subjects until there was no liquid left in said persons. They weighed 30% of what they did before the testing. So, for science, right? And not so fun fact about Unit 731. To this day, Japan never apologized for it. In fact, they took fighting nail and tooth to get Japan to even admit they did it in the first place. It was estimated that 300,000 people died in these experiments with no documented survivors. I would talk more about Unit 731, but it gets pretty hardcore. So if you have the time and the stomach, I would recommend learning more about it. But you have been warned, it gets pretty messed up. I believe that Specimen 10 is a form of all of the souls lost at Unit 731. Wanting revenge.
Yo, my name is Dees.
The Taker can kill you at any point throughout the game. If you stay in a room for long enough, it will find you and kill you on the spot. From the moment you enter the mansion, it is hunting you down. While going through the rooms, you'll eventually find a long hallway without an end, slowly getting thinner till the Taker catches up with you. In the boss fight, when you verse him, he will summon screaming pillars, shadow hands from Monster House, and little minion guys that will even attack you. Specimen 9 will shoot fireballs at you, damaging you if you get hit, but attacking it with the axe will send it back, letting you hit the boss. Beating him, you are welcomed by one of 3 endings: the good ending, the bad ending, and the joke ending. The joke ending showing when you turn off all specimens and jump scares and beat the game.
Congratulations, you've done it.
The bad ending is when you use the axe too many times, deeming you a hostile being, and Spooky decides you'll make a great specimen, losing your soul to Spooky and her mansion. And finally, the good ending. You'll die in a tragic way by having the roof crush you once you've defeated Specimen 9. And Spooky will now have you join her army, as she no longer wants to be called cute. She reminds me a lot of the Cute King from Adventure Time, wanting to be a ruthless ruler, wanting to get anything they can get their little hands on.
I command you to make me a sandwich!
What? No one commands the Ice King to make no sandwich.
What about now?
Okay.
I wish you bluebirds in the spring to give your heart a song to sing. And so, okay.